It's weird. Like a lot of my dream roles, I have to age into.
Hmm.
So I really want to be Blanche in Streetcar one day. Like there's a lot of roles that I won't be able to play for a long time. A lot of the older Sondheim roles. But that's the great thing about acting is there are all these roles that I'm kicking myself now that I can't do, but that will be there
Yes,
in
they're
20,
waiting
30
for you.
years. They're waiting for me.
They're waiting for
Yeah.
you. Good evening and welcome to Art After Dark, where you get to learn all about arts and culture in West Texas, and I get to live out my Dick Cavett fantasy. Good evening. My name is Randy Ham. I am the executive director for Odessa Arts, and we are continuing our on location filming here in the glorious Globe Theater at Odessa College as part of the Texas Shakespeare Festival Roadshow residency. That's a mouthful. All week here performing Hamlet and Shakespeare's greatest hits. The cast will be performing for over 2,000 students from across West Texas, and I'm so thrilled to welcome back Eliza Pagelle. Eliza, thank you for being here again.
Thanks for having me, Randy.
It is it was so nice when you were here last time. The shows were fantastic. It's such a wonderful event to put on. What's it like coming back?
I mean, it's funny seeing all the little changes in the space, and things that I forgot that I'm remembering. So even just like the intersections and the traffic and University Road, and all of those little things that you kind of forget about being in a place that are so lovely to come back to. And when we did our first walkthrough yesterday, just like going up to heaven and seeing all the different parts of the theater the little quirks that you miss. And like the little echoey part of the stage, stuff like that. That's just little stuff is nice to come back to.
It's so beautiful to stand right there,
I
isn't it? And
know, it's really fun.
you just hear the acoustics in this
It's
space
crazy.
are wonderful. It's one of my favorite things about doing the curtain speech when we have a
Mm.
sold out house is whispering and the little fourth graders up in the balcony are like, oh,
Yeah.
they get
Yeah.
so amazing. So this is your second road show,
Yeah.
and you've done the summer residency as well,
Yeah, I've
correct?
done 2 summer seasons and this is my second road show.
So you are a seasoned alumni of the Texas Shakespeare
I guess I
Festival.
am. I guess I
Yeah.
am.
What has been one of the most memorable things that you've done over the last 4?
Oh, goodness. I mean, it would like everything is so great in such a different way. Like I've been very lucky with TSF to play such a breadth of roles. Like I've played a lot of comedic side characters, and then
Yeah.
I'm playing an Ophelia in Hamlet this year, which is amazing. But it was really special getting to play Juliet in Romeo and Juliet last year on the tour because I
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be that role initially. I was initially cast as the nurse in Benvolio.
Really? I don't
Yeah,
think I knew
and then
that.
yeah, I don't think you knew that either. It happened, and then we had a switch that happened pretty early in the process. Like about a week in, we just had to kind of change a bunch of roles,
Yeah.
just because we had like a family emergency thing. And so I never thought I was going to be able to play that role. And it was really exciting and happened quite quickly. And then doing it here was such a luxury in the space that it felt like we were supposed to do it in. And we didn't end here last year, but it really
Right.
felt like we did. I mean, I remember our last public performance that we did
Yeah.
at nighttime was just the questions and the talk back were so insightful, and it was so great to see like the members of the community coming out and really being impacted by the show. Yeah.
It's been really great to see that public part of this really grow,
Yeah.
because we do this primarily for the students, and we want the students to be able to see Shakespeare the way it's meant to be performed in this space, with professional actors, and we just tacked on the public performances is like icing on the cake, right?
Mm.
I mean, you're here anyway, let's go ahead and open it up to the public. And so the first couple of years, we would have maybe, 50, 75 people. And now to get to this point where they're sold out and that the performances are being sold on the reputation of TSF says a lot about the work that all of you do year after year when you come here.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like the space gives us so much freedom to do the show that we're meant to do. I'd say, like, the beautiful thing about the roadshow is that every space is so different.
Sure.
And we find ourselves in gyms and
Yeah.
cafetoriums and stuff like that, which are really fun in their own way, but
Sure.
it really feels like such a treat to be in a space like this, which is rare, I think, in any actor's career as a whole, to be in a space that's dedicated to the work that we're specifically doing.
Yeah, it's as if we built this just for you.
It's crazy.
Uh, you gave a very interesting answer during, the talk back today,
Hmm.
especially about the, nurturing environment that you had growing up and the privilege that you had of having an arts education that was so well-rounded. Talk to us a little bit about that, how that got you to where you are today.
Yeah, so I was a musician before I was an actor. I started playing classical piano when I was 5 or 6, and that was the thing I was gonna do. But I grew up in a very musical and theatrical family. My grandparents met in an opera company because they were both opera singers, and then my mom was an actor for some time. So I grew up in a just very theatrical mindset. But I mostly was a pianist. And then I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, which just happens to have this blossoming arts scene with lots of theater and music. And so for my middle school program, I did like an after school thing that was publicly funded that ended up being a Shakespeare specific program
Oh,
called
really?
Arts Reaching Middle and Elementary Schools. And that was really the first like dedicated acting training I had had, and I was so grateful to have that. And then there were two arts high schools where I grew up, so I
2?
went, yeah, two. There was one that was a day school, and then one that was a boarding school. So for my first 2 years of high school, I went to the Fine Arts Center, which was a half day program, and then I went to a regular high school for the other half of the day. And then for my junior and senior year, I went to the South Carolina Governor's School for the Arts and Humanities, which is this beautiful publicly funded boarding school that's very small, and you have to audition to get in, but it's free and like just world class training. And I'm very lucky. There's some pretty famous alumni that went there. Danielle Brooks, who
Mm,
Orange is the New Black,
yeah.
Color Purple. Tiana Paris, who's in WandaVision, a lot of the
Oh my
Marvel
god, I love Tiana
movies.
Paris.
Brandon Michael Hall. I'm trying to think. There's a good amount of people from the acting program there, and they have the other art areas as well. But I was very lucky to have something like that in my hometown.
Yeah,
And I think, like again, I don't know if I would be where I am without access to arts education. So
it's
huge.
it is, it's so very important, and it's important to have that example for the students that, this is a viable, career option if it's something that you want to do. And even if it's not something that you want to do, if it's something that you just enjoy as a hobby, but also, you know, theater gives you so much confidence in
Yeah.
life, to be able to speak in front of a crowd, to be able to enunciate and have diction and be able to put on, a costume and uh, you can take the tools, body language, and
Mhm.
anywhere. You can
Yeah.
take them just about anywhere, and we don't. We take that for granted, and I think we take that for granted in so many arts uh, education arguments. Anyway, uh,
Yeah.
uh, classically trained pianist, that's a lot of problem solving that you had to do.
Yeah, a lot of math,
Yeah.
weirdly. Yeah, and like it is such a different part of your brain that you're activating at an early age, that I think is so important. I did that, but I was like, maybe I'll be a lawyer. Like,
Yeah,
I
sure.
think, but it was something that gave my life a new flavor.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you still play?
I do, yeah. I don't play classically as much as I used to, but I was very lucky. Again, I've been very lucky in general. I was in a production of Hamlet this past spring at the Tennessee Shakespeare Company, and their concept for the production was that Hamlet was a virtuosic pianist.
Oh,
So
wow.
I got cast in the titular role, and I was very lucky that the director and I just seemed to be born of the same womb, and we had all these similar ideas about the character, um and I got to play classical piano in the show, interspersed throughout, underscoring and diegetically as well. So the character was playing in the moment. And that's the hardest music I've done on stage in a while, because mostly like I do function a lot of the time as a music director in the spaces that I'm in.
Yeah.
But I really mostly enjoy and have experience doing plays with music. So what we do here, and plays like Indecent by Paula Vogel, and shows that have music in them that aren't
Mhm.
necessarily musicals, but it's a very rare opportunity to be able to, I think, exercise at the extent of my skill as a pianist on stage. So that Hamlet opportunity was unique, and my director Stephanie Shine is a genius, and I am forever grateful to do a show like Hamlet while also being able to do the other thing that I love so much. Is I'm just lucky. I'm just lucky.
That that concept is going to live rent free in my head for the rest of my
It's good.
life.
I have a video. I'll show it to
Yeah,
you.
send me the video, because if
Yeah,
I have to show you my video,
I
then you're
know.
gonna have to
Yeah.
show me yours.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
fair enough. So I guess it was pretty easy for you to transition from the piano to the accordion that you play here.
Yeah. The accordion I learned only about 2 or 3 years
Oh
ago,
wow.
because I thought it would be useful for my career. Because, like, it's always, I would go to a lot of auditions and they'd be like, "We want musicians for this show." And I'd be like, "But I can't stand up and play my instrument." You
Yeah.
know, it's not a very mobile
Yeah.
instrument, piano. So I was like, cool, well, I'll just learn how to play the accordion. I specifically wanted to be in a production of Indecent by Paula Vogel at my school. And I was like, how do I niche myself hard enough that they have to cast me? And I was like, well, nobody else plays the accordion. So if I just learn how to play the accordion, I'm in there. And it's been very useful. I think like the past 3 or 4 shows I've done, they've been like, can you bring your accordion? So
Yeah.
that's here, and other theaters and shows it's not even in. I find directors being like, well, let's just put it
Let's
in
just
because you
figure
could
out a
do it.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's been useful. It's fun. It's a really fun instrument.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do very well on
Thank you.
stage. It sounds really great. Uh, is there a specific project or a specific role that you haven't conquered yet that is
Mm.
on your bucket list?
It This time last year it would have been Hamlet. It's weird, like a lot of my dream roles I have to age into.
Hmm.
So I really want to be Blanche in Streetcar
Oh,
one day.
yeah.
I'd really love to be Lady M.
Hmm.
Um, Musical theater, I'd love to be Diana in Next to Normal. Like, there's a lot of roles that I won't be able to play for a long time. A lot of the older Sondheim roles, anything Bernadette does, I
Right.
love.
Yes.
Um, but you know, that's the great thing about acting, is there are all these roles that I'm kicking myself now that I can't do, but that will be there
Yes,
in
they're
20,
waiting
30
for you.
years. They're waiting for me.
They're waiting for
Yeah.
you. Um, what's next after the Shakespeare tour?
Yeah. Well, I'm going back to New York. It's funny. I moved there officially in May. But I have not been there really, because I've just been
Because you've been
working.
working.
Because I've been working, which is great, but I would love to spend more time in my home and do a little interior decorating would be nice. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home in December, and then right now I'm slated to play Joan of Arc in St. Joan at Tennessee Shakespeare in April. So
Oh, that's gonna be
that
exciting.
I can't
I
wait for
may
that.
just
I'm
have to
very
do that.
excited.
Well,
Yeah.
I will tell you, it has been a joy to have you here the first time. I was so thrilled that you were coming back here
Oh,
for
thank you.
your second residency, and know that you always have a home on this stage.
Thank you, Randy.
So, Eliza, thank you for being here tonight, and thank all of you for watching. And you're watching Art After Dark. We will see you next week.